the Spurs and the Mavericks in particular, and of course the 76ers versus the Lakers. So before we get to that, let's talk about the Spurs and the Mavericks real quick. Yeah, the Spurs have won by 12, and they moved to 35-16, while the Mavericks still fall to 19-32. And I'm gonna do something fun in particular at the end of this video. I'm gonna talk about two of the most surprising teams and two of the biggest disappointment teams as well. And also I'll talk about Anthony Davis trade to the Wizards as well. I'll get my thoughts on that. But anyways, getting back to the Spurs and the Mavericks. The Spurs end up winning by 12. Pretty much the story with this game, Victor Wembanyama, Harrison Barnes, and Devin Vassell and De'Aaron Fox. All five players of the Spurs were pretty much in double figures. Stephon Castle had 18. Keldon Johnson off the bench at 12. He was 5 for 9 from the field. The thing with the Spurs and why I believe that they are... hold on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, the main thing about the Spurs and why I believe they've been one of the most teams that needs to be talked about a lot more. Victor Wembanyama, his ability to get down and attack the light, he's 7'2", like 178 pounds. Like he's just he just a different size. He's just an absolute size, a man amongst boys. Like they have the Mavericks had no answers. Had no answers containing him or keeping him out of the lane. He just finds a way to fly down the lane, come from the weak side or come from the baseline, and gets offense and crashes the boards and crashes offensive glass. But then also the Spurs have really good ball movement, and that's the thing about them as a young team. Remind me so much of like the later on years with Tim Duncan's was when Tim Duncan before he retired, and of course with Kawhi and Boris Diaw and Marco Bellinelli and them. That second run of the Spurs, they reminded me a lot of them because they find ways to move the ball and have really good ball movement and rotation. And also because of these young pieces, core pieces that they got, like Vassell and Stephon Castle, De'Aaron Fox, they find ways and they find their ability to like just get to the basket, attack the lane, and just find ways to just really get the job, and put points, a lot of points in the back, put points in the basket and put the ball in the hoop. So they just find ways to just hoop, and they just find ways to just get going, like get going and scoring, man. And another thing that was really interesting last night, the Mavericks also, even with the ball movement the Spurs had, and the Mavericks had no answers as far as getting out to the 3-point line because they've been one of the worst defensive teams guarding the 3-point line in the NBA. Very disappointed on their behalf. But the Spurs, their transition game, and they've been the most, and they were probably in the top 3 in the most transition points and fast break points because they're young pieces and young core is just such high flyers, and they fly around the gym, and they got so much energy. That's the thing that really keeps me watching them. They just find ways to really attack, find ways to really get going and get involved. And you got to give them a lot of credit, man, because they do a lot. That the De'Aaron Fox, the Vassalls, and Stephon Castle, they do a lot out there on the court to really help their team out in such a really good big way. And Victor Wembanyama, he just find ways to get open. He find ways to dominate and get his matchup and just really put the energy and the focus on that, man. And also he's trying to get better, continuing to get better, coming off of the injury because he hadn't had a full season where they actually make the playoffs or whatnot. So once he gets acclimated with that, with the roster that he has, and they really start to get a lot of like win under themselves and experience season under their belt, I really feel like they can go a long way and possibly get a couple of championships. But like I said, they're trying to gel. Guys have been hurt. Prior years, guys have been moved around, player moving and trading, so they haven't had time to really to really focus on playing together. And then plus a long 82-game season, guys have been getting hurt, have been rotating out of the lineup, And but once they start to gel and get acclimated and start playing together, I really think that they're going to get better. I really think they're going to get more involved and really get more active and layered out and more focused. And so it puts them at odds. And they beaten the Oklahoma City Thunder 4 of the last 5 games. So they have the biggest odds and chance to really challenge them, more so than even the Denver Nuggets and the Houston Rockets. Because they know the matchup. The Thunder don't have a matchup. They have a matchup problem trying to slow down Victor Wembanyama. And the Thunder, really, their guards, it's just like the Thunder guards is not going to be able to really keep up with the younger guards of the Spurs. That's the only thing that really is a big hold of them. And they can't see. You don't want to see them in the first round. You don't want to see them in the first or the second round. You want to see them in the conference finals. Because that would be the matchup for y'all. And if it goes to 7 games and it's in OKC, you guys have the home field advantage and the experience than the Spurs. You don't want to see them in the first or second round because that could be a problem for you. Especially a problem for you if it's a long 6-7 game stretch series. You don't want to see them because this team could be one of the only few teams that can put a lid on you. That could really put a lid on you and really put you under the hole. So I really think that's a big flaw for them. So moving forward, for the Spurs, I think, like I said, once they get a lot of experience under their belt and really when it gets to the playoffs and really find ways to get everybody going and flowing, I think that they'll be a team that's gonna be a big problem, a future for the years to come, and they're gonna be a team that a lot of people are gonna end up starting to pay attention because they got the pieces, they got the talent, they got also the drafting for the next couple of years. They got a good amount of assets, and also they got a really good coach coming in, filling in from Greg Popovich. I forget his name. But as far as the Dallas Mavericks concerned, I'm not gonna really even spoil it. They've been the most disappointing team in the Western Conference. They have been such a travesty to even look at right now, man. Like Nico Harrison has been one of the worst GMs I've ever seen. Like, how the hell? I feel like this team is so cursed. How in the world you let go Jalen Brunson? You let go Jalen Brunson, and you kept Luka, you kept Spencer Dinwiddie, you kept all these guys, and you let go Jalen Brunson. He goes to the Knicks, makes them relevant. They go to the Eastern Conference Finals for like what, the last couple years, 2.5 years. Like you let him go to a team like that and make them even more relevant and prominent. And then you trade away one of your biggest assets and Luka Doncic, who could have been the future for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, why would you do that? And then all of a sudden, just recently, you trade away Anthony Davis. You don't know what the status of Kyrie Irving is. So you don't have nobody around Cooper Flag. And that's just a big problem. Can you imagine if Luka Doncic, Cooper Flag, and Kyrie and AD was still on the same team? That would be a monster that would be a monster pick. That would be a monster team right there, man. And I just don't understand what was going through the mind of Nico Harrison, man. It's just like these front office general managers and front office owners, they get stuck up in their ways. Oh, hey, Polo, what's going on? How's it going? They get so stuck up in their ways, they don't understand how to like manage their books, manage your talent, and really make the talent feel like they're special. Oh yeah, because they said at the time Lucas was overweight. Zion Williamson and a few other players were overweight. They still kept them. That don't make any sense. That doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it's just stupid. It's just stupid crap, and I just don't understand from these front office and these general managers. They get so stuck up and stubborn, and they're penny pinching, and they don't want to spend no money. Oh hey, what's going on? Trust it. Hey, what's going on? But yeah, getting back to what I was saying about the Mavericks. Yeah, it's just how bad that they played these last couple months, 2.5 months, 3 months. It's just they've been horrible on defense. They're horrible rotation. They don't have the roster to center around Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag pretty much has to carry it by himself, and it's just sad. It's just sad and unfortunate, and I hate the fact that he has to go through that, has to waste his talents with an incompetent front office and staff that doesn't really like to go with it. And I feel bad for Jason Kidd because this is gonna fall onto him when it's not really his fault. It's not really his fault at all. It's just crazy. But anyways, that's all I got to say about this one, man. Tell me what you guys think tell me what you guys think down in the comment section about this one, about this game between the Spurs and the Mavericks. And tell me what you guys think about the Spurs. And who do you have as the two most disappointing teams in both the Eastern and Western Conference? And who do you have as two of the biggest surprising teams? Let me know down in the comment section. And then, of course, we're going to talk about you already know I'm going to talk about the Sixers and the Lakers. I'm going to talk about this game. You already know that. So the Lakers end up winning by 4 over the 76ers. We got the thing is about what the Lakers are doing, man. And we'll just start with them real quick. The thing is with the Lakers, they find different ways offensively to really put the center focus around Luka Doncic. But even if Luka Doncic has an off game, you still have guys like an Austin Reeves who pretty much has rose his game and rise his talent to so many levels and heights that doesn't get looked at. It gets kind of undervalued because people pay so much attention to Luka and they pay so much attention to LeBron that Austin Reeves and of course guys like Jake LaRavia, they're starting to come into their own. Rory Hachimura had a nice game as well. The Lakers don't have this problem offensively. Their offense is actually fine. Their offense is actually pretty solid. The problem is they suck in transition defense. They suck in transition defense and they suck in the perimeter, like inside perimeter, in the paint. They suck. They don't have no paint presence on defense. And that's going to be their Achilles heel if they face Minnesota Timberwolves or the Houston Rockets in the first round. That's their Achilles heel, is their interior defense. And that's what I said. They needed to go get a 3-and-D player or get a big man, that they had that was consistent. I mean, they used to have him in JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis, all three of them on the same team during the bubble. Why don't they go out and go get a guy like that? You need a big man. The Lakers, over the course of time, when from the George Mikan years in the 40s and 50s, the Wilt Chamberlain and then of course later on with Kareem, and then even with the forwards like Adrian Dantley, they've always been known to have bigs. Bigs that demand the ball and have commanded a presence, but they always knew a way where they could put themselves and find ways to attack the basket and get their opponent's big man into foul trouble. They just don't have that. DeAndre Ayton is not a guy like that, man. I mean, and of course Shaq. We cannot forget about Shaq. They used to have him with him and Kobe. But the thing is, the Lakers don't have that. They don't have that kind of big man presence. And it was like, oh, we got Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton. Them guys, there's a reason why them guys ain't been nothing where they was at before. And there was a reason why Jackson Hayes wasn't that big top draft prospect. Had to go later and later rounds because he wasn't that strong. He's not that good of a rebounder. And he's not that good at altering shot blocks. They're going to need somebody that really puts the presence and puts the ownership, evolve in having to go against these top contending opponents and also the Denver Nuggets. We got to face up against Jokic. You got to have a big man presence to really focus on, that side of the ball. Because offensively, you guys is fine. I think your offensive rotations is fine. I mean, I like the way y'all move the ball with Luka and Austin Reeves. I like the way they do things and take the ball, get the ball out the floor 94 feet and how they feed them, get them on pick and rolls and set picks and outside the perimeter. I like what they do with that, but they just need a big man presence to really add to their roster because I think that they would make some noise and go a little bit further than what a lot of media critics would like to say. But they just need that, and they need a wing player. I think those two things will put them over the top and actually will make them a lot better than where they're standing now. Because they're just going to be just another middle-of-the-road mediocre team. Now, let's get to the Philadelphia 76ers. They made the actual biggest surprise and jump in the Eastern Conference. Them and of course the Detroit Pistons, and we'll talk about them in another time. They made the biggest jump, and the reason why I say that is I didn't really expect them to really be in the top five contending teams because their health status of guys like Paul George and Joel Embiid has always been a question mark. They got good guards. VJ, he's coming along. Edge Combe, he's coming along. Tyrese Maxey is really solid. He's probably one of the only few guys that really gives the effort, on the offensive side and puts the effort in defensively as well, pickpocketing people in lanes. But Joel Embiid's health has always been in question, but he played well He played well the other night. He was great from the field. He was good from the free throw line. He had 7 and 7. He really pretty much had himself a night. And Dominic Barlow, he had a really good game as well. So the thing is with the Sixers, man, I think that they'll be okay. I think they'll be fine when they get to the playoffs. I don't know who they're gonna play in the first round, but I think they'll be fine. I don't know. I don't think they will beat anybody in the conference semifinals or anything like that. I don't think they'll beat the Knicks. I don't think they'll beat the Celtics since they got Vucevic, which I talked about the other day. I don't think they're gonna beat any of them in the conference semifinals. And even if they get there, I don't think they're gonna have a shot at doing it. But they'll be okay moving forward. They just need to get Paul George back before the postseason time, and hopefully he won't make no kind of dumb, boneheaded decisions again to put himself violating the anti-drug policy. That was just stupid on his behalf. But yeah, I think they'll be okay. I think the Sixers, excuse me, will be fine, and I think they'll be in contention to challenge teams in the top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference, but they won't be a big threat to me as far as like going further later than that. So we'll see where things head and where things go from there, because at the end of the day, both teams are going into a similar direction, but different as far as the outcome will be. But yeah, those are my thoughts about the Sixers and the Lakers. Guys, I'm a little bit tired, my bad. All right, so the last story I'm gonna do is the Anthony Davis trade. So Anthony Davis was traded to the Washington Wizards in a 9-player, 3-team deal. The 10-time All-Star is reportedly heading to Washington, along with 3 other players, for 4 players and 5 picks. 10-time All-Star Anthony Davis heading to Washington on a 9-player, 3-team deal with Dallas and Charlotte. The Washington Wizards receive Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. The Mavericks received Chris Middleton, A.J. Johnson, Tyus Jones, Marvin Bagley, 2026 first-round pick, and a 2030 first-round pick, and 3 future second-round picks. And the Charlotte Hornets received Malachi Branham. The move is the signal that the Mavericks are moving on from the trade that spent superstar Luka Doncic to the LA Lakers for a package headlined by Davis last year. The former general manager Nico Harrison, who was fired by Dallas in November, engineered the middle of the night deal that angered fans. The trade speculation has surrounded Davis ever since Harrison was let go Following a slow start to the season, Davis had been out of the lineup since mid-January after suffering a torn ligament in his left hand. The 10-time All-Star won't need surgery on the injury and still has a few weeks remaining on the original 4 to 6 week timeline when he was first hurt. The Wizards have made a stark shift recently from their rebuild after losing 67 and 64 games the past 2 seasons. Washington traded for Trae Young last month and now adds Davis to a group of young players that includes big man Alex Sarr and the second round and a new pick in 2024. Once fully healthy, Davis and Young will be the stars on the team that features young big man Alex Sarr, young talent like Keyshawn George, Bub Carrington, Bilal Colaby, and standout rookie Trey Johnson. And Davis has appeared in 31 of possible 84 games over 2 part season with the Mavericks, including the 2 play-in tournament games he played last season. Dallas is building around star Cooper Flagg with this move, cleaning up more time from the front court for him, and all the Dallas players acquired will be free agents as the summer has decided what to do about the return of Kyrie Irving. Flagg, who was averaging 20.1 points per game, doesn't turn 20 until next season. The Mavericks lost all 3 games on Flagg's current 30-plus run and are on a 5-game skid, a season worse. Dallas is 12th in the West at 1931, making increasingly unlikely that guard Kyrie Irving will play this season. 9-time All-Star tore the ACL in his left knee last March. And Russell, who has a player option for next season, while Hardy is under contract until 2027, has a team option for 27-28, and Exum will be a free agent this summer. So yeah, I read you guys this story because I didn't know exactly what team, which players will be going elsewhere. I just saw this news and I was just like, kind of a little bit like, what was the Dallas Mavericks thinking for doing these kind of moves? But I feel like they're trying to clean house and they're trying to sever up all the cap space. So now with Jaden Hardy being under a player option, and I think Dante Exum will be a free agent. And so I think they're trying to clear up some cap space. And D'Angelo Russell being under contract, I think that's kind of what they were trying to do. They're trying to clear up cap space. They were trying to clear up that market. So they figured getting somebody like a Chris Middleton would help matters. But at the end of the day, I just think that both teams are really heading in a bad direction. They don't have no kind of structure, don't have no kind of substance. So they need to really clean house, and hopefully they can find something to really offshore, go in the draft and get some young guys, really play more of Gafford, Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively more. So maybe that could help them out when they come back and really, really get implemented to the offense. And don't have to, and take some of the pressure off of Cooper Flagg, because that'd be a thing that really would help them out more to really go further down the road in the playoffs. So we'll see when it comes down to it. I just think that this is a kind of move that's kind of really just wild. I was not expecting a move like this to happen. But we'll see moving forward what could this do for both teams. But all right, guys, I'm going to be heading up out of here. I want to thank y'all for tuning in and watching the videos. I appreciate all that. The like, share, and subscribe. And I'm out. Peace.